Where is he?
Where are you? Skull Rock. Do you know it?
Sorry, I'm ready.
Girlfriend. Hello, this is Stacy over at the Skull Rock broadcast. I am joined by...
Hello, this is Megan. Welcome back to our Stranger Things podcast. How's it going, Stacy?
It's going. Just hanging out with Sir Quinn. How are you doing?
Doing okay. It was a nice 3-day weekend for President's Day, so I feel like I got a lot done. But I'm super excited about this episode today because,
Me too.
As everyone knows, we are in season 3 of Skull Rock broadcast, which means we are going to start talking about season 3 of Stranger Things, which is such a fun season. And
Love that season.
Oh, I know we've been so excited for this, and it's still like, you know, those dreary winter feels. Like, I know you have got snow on the ground. Like, it was cold and windy here today. We maybe have more snow coming. So I'm about over it. And this was the perfect little antidote to that today. Getting some summer feels. So really excited to get into it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I feel that season 3 probably has the highest rewatch value. And I don't know, just between the bright colors and kind of the epic scale that it's on and these new locations, it really like stepped it up and went up a few notches. But anytime I'm feeling a little blue, I take a trip to Hawkins, Indiana, 1985.
It actually starts a year beforehand in the Soviet Union, the USSR, I guess.
I love that they try to like pan back that it was this big reveal in Russia. And I'm like, we know.
Yeah.
The Russians were the
pretty
big
obvious.
baddies back then.
Yeah.
Every movie that came out at that point, the Russians were the bad guys. The Cold War was going on.
Yeah. So the very first sound that you hear when this episode opens, did you clock it?
No.
So I was like, Darth Vader. Because it's these guys in these masks, like down by the big machine, and they have the masks on and they're breathing, and it sounds like Darth Vader. Like, there's so many Star Wars references in this episode. You're gonna get sick of me.
Yeah.
You're gonna
I
get
clocked a
sick
few and
of
I was
me.
thinking of you.
But
Adorable.
it opens and it's like Darth Vader breathing, basically, because it's these guys in these masks. And you've got like this lab, which we know is the Soviet lab. You've got the large machine, you've got soldiers, scientists, and we actually get our first look at Alexei and Grigori.
Yep.
So
yes.
Obviously we don't know their names at this point, but we got to like see them at Epicon. So obviously I was like,
pretty amazing.
Yeah, nerding out over that. But Alexei is one of the scientists, and he and another scientist, they turn these 2 keys, right, to turn on this big machine. So the machine starts up, and it's basically trying to open a gate, right? Like
using like a laser, if I had to describe it, which is powered by a bunch of energy, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And you see like the upside down vines start to come out of this
instantly
gate.
Pop out of that thing. I've never clocked that before.
Yeah, and everything starts rattling, and for some reason the machine fails. It explodes.
And that was kind of graphic. First of all, I would have been the scientist going, we did it! And I would have been popping the champagne. And then at that exact moment, it malfunctions. And I never noticed how graphic it is for those poor sons of bitches that are on the actual floor. It's like in slow motion, they like get, tied up with all the electricity, and then they like evaporate and blow apart.
Yeah, it's gross. And also it's a little bit of like, they become like these mounds of flesh, basically, which is a little foreshadowing for like the flesh monster. And then also it's basically foreshadowing what you think happens to Hopper in the last episode. Imagine
being the custodian and having to clean that up.
It's gross.
Like, what the hell happened, boys? So what happens when it fails?
But also, I liked the one soldier guy like smoking his cigarette like as it like starts up, and then he like gets real mad and like puts his cigarette out. It was
Very
like a
80s.
nice little like 80s detail. Yeah. But the one scientist, not Alexei, tells this general guy that they're close, they just need more time. But obviously he's pissed. I'm sure they spent a lot of money building this big machine that just like blew up. And we've got Grigori coming in with the Darth Vader choke.
I know. Actually, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
He's choking out the scientist and basically kills him. And the general tells Alexei he has 1 year. And then we cut to this Russian music. And like you said, they like pan out and you see that we're in like this like Arctic Russian landscape.
Yeah. Looking real bleak, and, that is really how to get somebody motivated. Have, your really scary Russian right-hand man choke out your coworker and just be like, we have a deadline now. A year.
Yeah. Yeah. So this whole like scene, it's really funny because when I was a kid and I would watch Star Wars, sometimes I would just like skip like the Death Star, Darth Vader, Imperial soldiers. Like
really?
Yeah. I was like, I don't need to watch this. I just want to watch my friends. Luke and Leia and Han and their adventures. And this this whole like scene was like, if I was like watching Star Wars and I wanted to rewatch it, like I would probably like skip this because it's like, I don't need that dark, like, but obviously it makes a difference to the plot of the show. So we can't skip it, but.
True. But one hell of an opening. And like I said, 1980s, the Russians were the biggest threat. There's so many great movies where the Russians are the big baddies. Red Dawn. So right away, it kind of almost sets the bar like, oh, snap. Because if you remember, Owens from season 2 is like, he mentions the Russians to Nancy and Jonathan. He goes, what do you think would happen if they got a hold of this information about these different worlds, about the lab, about 11, about the monsters? I guess they did.
Yeah. And we've got the credits. We've got a big 3 added, for season 3. And
this is probably my favorite episode title.
Yeah, it's Susie, do you copy? And I also like the addition of like the words on the screen that like say like the actor's name and like the cast and crew. It's like different. It's like red and white and white and blue, like the whole red, white, and blue kind of theme to the show. So that was fun.
We open to 1 year later, and Corey Hart is playing on a radio, and we pan across a dresser, and there are walls of what appears to be a bedroom. And I love all these little details sprinkled about. There's textbooks, one of which says how to learn proper English. We see the Polaroid framed of Mike from the previous Halloween dressed as the Ghostbuster. We see the baby doll mask Elle wore in the episode Lost Sister. And I know a lot of people noticed that there's that giant like poster of like a hawk that used to hang in the Wheelers' basement behind the couch. Now it is on the wall next to the bed of 11's bedroom. And it's nice because like compared to how it kind of looked last season, it actually is starting to look like a young girl's bedroom. There's all these little details. And I noticed like against the mirror, she like saved Valentine's from Mike and stuff, which is very sweet. And her and Mike, they are locking lips, typical little 13-year-olds. They're kissing. And Mike decides to serenade a very stunned and disturbed-looking Elle. And he asks, what, don't you like it? And she's like, flat out, no.
I loved this. I loved it, though. It was very endearing on, like, Mike's part. He was just being goofy and playful, like.
Yeah, he was trying to romance her. And in the other room, Hopper looks very displeased. He's in major mood. He's eating his, Tostito chips and salsa. He's watching Magnum P.I. And I love that he can, like, hear the music, and he just very slowly and nonchalantly tips back his recliner.
I thought he was going to fall.
He goes, like, nearly all the way back.
Yeah.
And the doors open a crack, 3 inches, And he looks in and he sees Elle and Mike making out right away. He goes, hey! And she, like, you know, looks.
Slams the
I
door. Yeah.
think it's like a muscle reaction, like muscle memory. She just slams the door with her power. I love how quick he gets up and he starts going like, open the door 3 inches, 3 inches, minimum. And then he starts banging on the door and he's like, let me in, open this door. And he nearly falls in because it's now magically unlocked.
Mhm.
And these two little sneakers, like literally, they're separated.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't be further apart in the bed.
Acting like they're
Innocently
reading.
reading. Yeah, I'm like,
They're
guys,
gaslighting him is what they're doing.
they really are. This is actually psychological horror. And like you can just see, like, it's really cute because like you can see now Hopper's like acting like the overprotective dad, because his daughter's, a teenager now. And we see Mike, it cuts to Mike pedaling, and I just love the music still kind of fading out.
Yeah.
He's pedaling his bike, and he's got his radio in the basket, and he's talking with Elle about, like, did you see his face? And she's like, it was red like a tomato. And Mike has to go, yeah, like a big fat tomato.
Little
shit.
asshole.
Little asshole. And I just love how Elle's like, I wish I was still with you. And in my head, I'm like laughing because I'm like, this is like what teenagers do on the phone. So they have these huge radios. I'm like, they were ahead of their time. Those were the iPhones of the day.
Yeah.
And, he's like, I know, me too. But, I'll see you first thing tomorrow. And she just looks like she's, floating on cloud 9 with puppy love. And it's just really nice to see her happy for once. And
Yeah, it's really
I just
cute.
love the transitions using music and songs, using the soundtrack. It's there, they use synthesizers. It's very 1980s, obviously. But season 3, and we've discussed it, it was probably like the most advertised, heavily, sponsored show with all these companies. It was very successful. The budget was much bigger. And the beauty of the budget being much bigger is they can afford more songs for their, they can afford the licensing. So
there was so many songs in this episode.
So many.
Yeah.
And they picked such great hits like that were so popular at that time because that was a big thing back in the summer. You would listen to the radio and listen to the big hits. So I do love that. In season 3, we were able to see and hear much more.
Yeah. So I thought at first that Mike was biking home, but he was not biking home.
He was new location.
Biking to a new location, and we get to see for the first time Starcourt Mall.
Love it.
Fantastic. So they go into the mall, and it's just very 80s, and it's so crowded and bustling, and like so many people there, and you get to see all of the stores and the food
Which is
court.
really cool because the 1980s, I guess that was like the big thing for indoor shopping malls. Like, I guess celebrities and like teen stars like Tiffany would do like appearances at malls. So you can imagine a small town like Hawkins, Indiana. This is huge that there's this big indoor mall now.
Yeah. I mean, I have a mall by me that's like similar vibe. And I remember even in the 90s, like going there and like watching like maybe not like big name performances, but like sometimes for school we would go and like sing at the mall or something like that. It was very like that was like the culture, I guess. But you get to see Erica, which is hilarious because as they're walking by her, Lucas is like, isn't it past your bedtime? And then they just like bicker back and forth and
mall rat, fart face.
Max teases him about it. And then you see the kids go into this ice cream shop, Scoops Ahoy. I'm wearing my Scoops Ahoy sweatshirt
Appropriate.
from Beyond Epic, our friend Emma. It's my newest crew neck from her, and I love it. But they go into Scoops Ahoy, and we see Robin for the first time. So you get her iconic line, "Hey, Dingus, your children are here." And we see Steve in his uniform for the first time. He's like, again. So you know that this is something that they do pretty frequently and kind of take advantage of their friendship with Steve.
Yeah, which I love that. You can tell they've probably bonded and he's probably been stuck with these little shits since that iconic Camaro ride. And then I love that he's just like the typical babysitter. He just looks so over it, but he let them go in through the back entrance.
Right.
So
and
we see you, Steve.
Yeah, they're sneaking into the movie theater basically through the like employee hallways and not paying for their tickets.
And I love that at first you think, because you see the poster first, they're going to sneak in to see Back to the Future, which was the big box office hit of 90. I almost said 95.
85.
85. But instead, they were going to a special preview of George A. Romero's Day of the Dead, which is the third movie in the Night of the Living Dead trilogy.
Yeah,
you
tell me.
Would not
No,
like
tell
it.
me a little bit about it because I'm never going to watch it.
No,
but
you
just
won't.
like, is there anything relevant that you can
Well,
share about this
I
movie?
noticed obviously, you could tell this group of kids probably would like, horror movies like Night of the Living Dead. Then there's Dawn of the Dead that actually takes place in a shopping mall. And then Day of the Dead is the final one that came out in 1985. It was supposed to be the end of the trilogy. It's the darkest one. It's got probably some of the most graphic, amazing special effects in it. It's very, very gory, which I'm like, no wonder they had to sneak in. There's no way those kids would have gotten into that movie. But it's always been one of my favorites. It's very it reflects on the times when it was released. And it's very smartly written, but I did notice, which I love about it, is the composer John Harrison did the music for it. And it's beautiful because there's a character who is Jamaican in it, and it takes place way down in Florida and stuff. So it's almost got this tropical kind of sympathizer music feel to it. And it's really beautiful music. And I actually owned the soundtrack because I love the movie so much long before any of this. So I noticed throughout this season, there would be snippets of John Harrison's score. I think I pointed this out to you before. The most noticeable time I could hear it was when Robin and Steve are tied to the chairs and they were laying down, kind of talking back and forth. And it's just really, really pretty music. But I'm like, I like that they did that because they did do that with the movie The Hitcher with season 4. So they kind of use this underrated score that's just instrumental, and they would sprinkle it throughout. But right away I was like, this would make sense because this was kind of the really cool, untouchable movie that the kids would want to see. That there's no way in hell they would have been able to. So I love that they all sit down. And I do love that they brought their own snacks.
Yeah,
Kids after my own heart.
Life hack, right?
They're not going to pay those prices.
No.
But they did bring soda cans. I was like, that's daring.
Yeah.
Mine would have burst everywhere.
But so as they sit down and the movie starts, there's this power outage, right? So
yes.
The movie cuts out. Then you see the whole mall loses power. Steve is trying to flip the light
he's trying to get it.
Yeah.
I get it to work.
And then the whole town loses power. And then we see this location, which we don't know where it is yet, but we find out
it's so dark out.
Yeah, that it's Brimborn Steelworks.
Mm-hmm.
And you see some rats scurrying around, and then these particles come off of the ground and start to swirl around and lift up. So we later kind of can figure out that I was assuming that maybe this was some of the upside down that was left over from when they expel it from Will, but it doesn't go back into the upside down. It's just there. So when the gate gets opened, which we find out later that it was, it kind of reactivated this upside down stuff.
Dust.
Yeah. So then everything comes back on. We think everything's fine. Steve's like, let there be light.
Yep. He fixed the problem, guys. And the opening starts back up. I do Megan, don't ever watch Day of the Dead. You'll be sick to your stomach. But
Yeah.
The opening actually is beautifully shot. And I thought it was such great editing because you see right away, everyone's clapping, oh, it started back up. But Will looks terrified. And you see the little hairs on the back of his neck kind of sticking up. And he's staring ahead, not really watching the movie, kind of glazed over. And he starts almost thinking back on the shadow monster.
Yeah, he has some
being
flashbacks.
possessed.
Yeah.
And it happens so quick. And right away, Mike is like, are you okay? And he right away lies through his teeth. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm fine. But you can tell he's a little freaked out, whatever that was. And there's this really good shot of this woman. It's a dream sequence, but she goes up to a wall to look at a calendar and all these zombie hands burst through. And at that exact moment, the cuts and the editing in this season, chef kiss. We see Miss Nancy Wheeler shoot up and she goes, shit. And basically we see she had a sleepover at Jonathan's And due to the power outage, they forgot to reset the alarms. And I'm sorry, Megan. I'm sorry, okay? First of all, hilarious that Jonathan fell. But Nancy, you're slipping out the window, carrying your shoes, ducking down so, Joyce doesn't see. Joyce knows what's going on.
Yeah,
Joyce is
knows
the cool
that
mom.
you're there. Joyce and Will both know.
They know. They probably heard you guys. And right away, she goes like, no, you got lipstick on your cheek with Jonathan because he's in a hurry. And I'm just like, Joyce is a cool mom. She knows her son is getting laid. Like, Nancy, quit it.
Yeah, and Will's like, ugh, gross. And I love Joyce being like, you're not going to think it's gross when you fall in love. And Will's like, I'm never falling in love. That whole like little interaction was so sweet. But like, I think it's cute that like Joyce thinks that Jonathan is in love with Nancy. Like, she's like all for it. Like, very supportive, cool mom, like you said. But Joyce, as they're sitting there at the breakfast table, notices that the magnets had fallen off the fridge. So she goes over and she's like, oh, what happened here? And you see her hanging the Bob Newby superhero drawing back up on the fridge. So that was really sweet. And then Jonathan and Nancy are driving to work, and she's doing her
makeup in the car.
Yeah. And what is she kind of like stressing about?
She literally is like, can't you go any faster? And I love him going, you're lucky this thing is still moving.
Yeah.
Which I always remember. I guess my mom owned several of those cars. My dad would always be like, they were shit boxes. So I'm like, ah. And she right away, like, they don't exactly say what the job is yet. But, he goes, we could both be fired. And she goes, oh, no, they like you, And she starts, like, almost like going on this big tyrant, being like, they just see me as a coffee delivery person, not as an actual human being. And Jonathan's being like, listen, they're going to see in time that you're... And she right away, like, she's not ready for this. She goes, I don't need a Jonathan Byers pep talk. So, you know what? It shows that, they have been together for a while, so they're kind of like, they're at that point in their relationship that they're just like, nope. But who's driving in the opposite direction into town?
They pass another car driving into town, and it is Mrs. Henderson driving Dustin home, and he's on the radio. Gold leader returning to base.
This is goddamn gold leader.
Star Wars reference. But he's coming home from a month away at camp.
Which I had to be like, they probably ended school like June 1st, I guess.
Yeah, I guess maybe they end school earlier out there. I don't know.
It was the 80s. Things were lawless.
Yeah, but I was a little confused because he had a turtle, and I thought the turtle got eaten.
You said that.
Yeah.
And I remember going, oh my God, really? And I started to believe it. I thought you
maybe the turtle
instantly.
didn't get eaten? I don't know.
Yeah.
How did the
turtle
escape Dart? But
he very slowly walked back. Yeah.
Maybe he got a new turtle. I don't know. But
Mystery of the Turtle.
It's like Toy Story up in here in Dustin's room.
First of all, I love that he looks so bummed out because Claudia kind of goes like, honey, you've been gone a month. Maybe they just forgot. And like the look on his face, like he actually is like, oh my God, maybe they did. He sits down. I love that he looks at, the supposed murdered turtle.
Murdered turtle.
Jesus.
Yertle the murdered turtle. That's such a tongue twister. Yertle
the
murdered turtle.
Jesus. And he's like, well, at least somebody's happy I'm home. And then at that exact moment, all of his toys, which I know which toy you were looking at.
R2-D2 is my favorite.
I was like Megan right now. I was doing the Leo point.
I have like a Christmas decoration for my yard that's R2-D2.
Do you really? That's adorable. Adorable. But all these like electronic toys that shouldn't be, moving on their own are powering up and moving and stuff. I wish one day we're gonna have to go through all the toys, but his bedroom is so cool.
Because they had a monkey. They had a monkey, which made me think of you when you were seeing that movie.
The monkey, yeah. Which I guess with the new movie that came out, The Monkey, they had to switch it to a drum. You said Toy Story, because technically Disney and Pixar own the actual the character,
Like
the
with
toy,
the symbols?
with the symbols, and they couldn't. They were like,
Oh.
"It's way too expensive." So they switched it to a drum, but that's on the front cover of Stephen King's short story collection Skeleton Crew. You know, the Duffers loved King, so you see all these like toys coming to life and stuff, and just the music that plays. It sounds like something that would play in like Gremlins or one of Spielberg's like E.T., one of his earlier films. And I
Yeah.
love. What does Dustin grab?
His weapon of choice is the can of Farrah Fawcett hairspray.
Love that he still has that. Love that.
Of course. I mean, his big bro gave him the advice to get it. So
Yeah. Put it on your hair
But-
when it's damp, not wet.
you see that the kids are kind of like hiding, and that Elle is using her powers to make these toys move, and they kind of sneak up on him, which was maybe not thought out completely, and like yell surprise, and which is so sweet that they came to surprise
They made a
him.
sign.
They made a sign and everything. Like, honestly, like they tried to like welcome him home, like, and poor Lucas got hairspray in the face.
I just forgot like how blood curdling Dustin's scream is and how funny he looks as he's spraying it right into poor Dustin's eyes. And it goes on for an
Poor
eternity.
Lucas's eyes, yeah.
And then we switch to actually another location, which we were lucky enough to visit,
Yeah, I was
And
like,
that is-
we were there.
the Hawkins Community Pool, which is booming in this scene. And it's the Stray Cats Rock This Town is playing. And didn't we hear that, like, supposedly, like, production, they, like, repaired this pool that was in the area?
Yeah. So I think that they, for production, actually did a lot of work on this pool and like revitalized it. And now the community can actually use it again. Like, so, and
That's
people
awesome.
go there during the summer in Atlanta to swim. So, yeah, pretty cool. But basically, we have like Mrs. Wheeler and the Real Housewives of Hawkins.
I love that.
And they get really excited because Heather starts getting down from her lifeguard
Ladies,
chair.
she's coming down. And I love that they all like sit up and like fix their suits and check their makeup.
Yeah.
And first of all, Karen Wheeler, fashion icon. I love that her eye makeup matches her swimsuit.
Yeah, she's beautiful actually in this scene.
And she's conveniently sipping, like a lady using a straw. You don't want to mess up the lipstick. A new Coke.
I didn't clock that. Good for you. But it's like they're like, and showtime, and the door opens. And I mean, he is a vision. He is a vision in this scene. Like,
He is basically the male Phoebe Cates because of that iconic scene from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. But instead we have
Billy
asshole.
Hargrove.
asshole Billy Hargrove.
Because
But-
it's like that he comes out and he looks so hot and dreamy, and then he just basically calls this poor child a lard ass. Like,
Oh my God. Which remember we were like,
yeah.
that was probably a a reference to Stand By Me, but at the same token you're like, I really hope they didn't like yell
know.
that to that child.
I was hoping that they like filmed Billy's part like separately from this poor kid's part, like, and didn't traumatize this child.
I used to always joke with my friend. He was like, could you imagine he screams at you? And I would go, no, he screamed lovely ass. And they'd be like, no, I didn't scream that. But literally he goes by and I love how all of them at once, like teenage girls, he was like, afternoon ladies, afternoon Billy. And he goes, dig the suit, Mrs.
Yeah,
Wheeler.
he
She got an
compliments
extra
it.
compliment.
Yeah.
And they are just watching him climb up to his post. And you know what? When it's right, it's right.
He's hot. I mean,
Yeah.
we can't deny that. So we've seen these locations. We've seen the mall, and it's hustling and bustling. We see the pool, and it's like a great time. Like everybody's there. And then we cut to like downtown Hawkins.
If there
And
could be a
it's
tumbleweed, there would be.
Basically a ghost town. Yeah.
The laundromat, I actually forgot about that shot. I laughed out loud.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I was like, well, I guess nobody's doing laundry. Like, what? They all got like their own laundry machines now, like from the mall. Like, what? What's
There's
the
a
connection
Sears
there?
now. I can't.
Yeah. But Joyce is even hanging a sign because Melvald's it's still open. Like Radio
But you know
Shack
it's
is
real
closed.
bad if
Yeah.
they're doing a sale 50 to 70%
Yeah,
off.
it's a big sale, man. But who comes in to Melvald's, the first customer of the day?
Hopper comes in looking stressed, and, he tells her he needs her help, and she's like, what now? Because you can kind of probably tell he's been going to Joyce quite a lot, while raising his now teenage daughter. And as she's marking everything down by hand, which I was like, Lord, thank you. I was not in the workforce in the 80s. I didn't even exist yet. But having to do that all by hand, ugh. So she's marking everything down using the little, price tag gun. And he's going, this isn't right. All they're doing is kissing, that I need this to end. And I love that she's like, well, they're just kissing, right? And he's like, yeah. And right away he's like, I need them to break up. He's losing it. And she's like, you need to calm down. They're going to rebel no matter what. And she's trying to be the voice of reason. She's like, you got to kind of get down on their level, act like you're their friend, and they'll listen to you and stuff. And right away she's like, oh, they kind of lean against the pharmacy, I believe, which is empty as well. And
nobody needs their prescriptions.
I guess not. Jesus Christ. There must be a really fancy CVS at that store court. And literally they're leaning against it. And he goes, I love that he goes, maybe I could just murder Mike. I'm the chief of police. I can cover it up. And Joyce is like, no, you just need to kind of talk to them. Why don't you have a heart to heart? And he's like, what's a heart to heart? And she breaks it down, but she's like, the key to this is you can't yell. You need to just talk to them no matter how they react.
Stay calm.
calm.
Yeah.
Dead. And I love that she's like, well, maybe I can. And at first he's like, why don't you come over and do it? And she's like, no, it only works if it comes from you. But maybe I can help you find the right words. And she grabs a pen and a piece of paper and goes to the counter.
We look out the window and we cut to Nancy, and she's walking really fast. And see her go into the Hawkins Post. So we realize that her summer kind of job internship is at the newspaper, and she has everybody's lunch delivery.
A lot of burgers.
And a lot of burgers. And these guys are just sitting around this table making
smoke,
misogynistic jokes, as they're
the beauty queen, the last name is LeBrock, which I think that was a reference to the actress Kelly LeBrock, who plays the dream girl in Weird Science.
Oh, okay.
That. But the amount of cigarette smoke that's going on in there, ew. And they're trying to think of something
an idea to post, it's for a story. They're not really coming up with anything. And as Nancy's walking out, she's like, well, what about the mall? And she basically gives this little speech about how the mall is changing the fabric of their town, and you can see it, it's happening. She's right.
It's actually a good idea.
Of course, I don't know, did we figure out what this guy's name is?
So Bruce,
is he the blonde
played by Jake
guy?
Busey?
Okay.
Yep.
So he's like, oh yeah, that is a good idea.
Death of Small Town America.
Yeah. And he's like, it's a little even spicier.
Fucking dick.
And he's like, the missing mustard from my hamburger.
And I pointed this out, how hard the man next to him laughs. I'm like, did they all get high beforehand? That wasn't even that funny. And then they you can tell their nickname for her is Nancy Drew.
Yeah. But I mean, it is very kind of it's appropriate for this season, because she ends up trying to solve this mystery and acts a little like Nancy Drew-ish.
And you know what's so sad? The workforce really was like that for a while. It wasn't until the late 80s, the working girl era, where women were actually not being homemakers and going into the workforce. So it was usually the boys' club, and it was a little sexist. And even though, yes, I know she's just an intern, that was a good idea. But apparently the hamburger, joke was the hit of the day.
So we're back at Dustin's, and Lucas rinses out his eyes, and I love how at first Max is kind of trying to take care of him.
Yeah, are you
and
okay?
Then he's like, is that a new zit?
I love that she waterboards him. She's like, what is the matter with you? And he's like, I was just asking. Love that. And then
they're adorable in this episode.
They're such a good couple, but in this
Yeah.
season, it's so funny because they're constantly breaking up and getting back together.
Yeah.
But I love in Dustin's room, he's showing the forever clock. The
Which is-
slammer.
The forever clock is very useful in the apocalypse.
I love that he's handing them and like Will's just looking at them like, oh, okay. And then he goes, but this is my masterpiece. And he unzips like this huge duffel bag.
Yeah.
And he goes, this is Cerebro, which I told you in another episode. That's a reference to X-Men. And he explains that like you can, talk from North Pole to South Pole. And, Will's like, so it's like a ham radio. And he goes, the Cadillac of ham radios.
Yeah.
Who can he talk to on it?
So he says, he casually drops that he can use it to call his girlfriend. So they're all yeah, they're all like, what? And so this is where he says Susie with a Z.
Yep.
And she's from Utah.
Hotter than Phoebe Cates.
Hotter than Phoebe Cates. That's the information that we get about her as they're all heading out the door to go call Susie.
Yep.
They don't really know what they're getting into at this point, but
the next scene, I have to say, this really bothered me. First of all, waffle cone all the way. What do you call that kind of cone?
Waffle cone, right?
That's not a waffle cone. What he
the
had.
one that they give him? A cake cone?
It was gross, okay, first of all. Second of all, the chocolate looked dry as hell. But I have to say, the scoop, 10 out of 10, that was perfectly shaped.
Yeah.
Who's scooping it?
That was Steve Harrington.
Yeah.
So we have Steve scooping the ice cream at Scoops Ahoy and hitting on girls and striking out.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. What is the matter with these girls?
I guess they're they're going to Purdue and he's, slinging ice cream. So
I love that he goes, I considered it, and he has to go Purdue. But, I decided, I want to get a little life experience, learn what it's like to earn a working man's wage, in which he screws up the register and drops the change.
Yeah.
And it's so painful because he basically asks this girl out twice in a row. And she's like, no, I'm busy. And it's so painful because you're almost like, okay, maybe it had gotten around that, King Steve now didn't get into school and he's working here. But I'm starting take the hat away. And it's still Steve Harrington.
It's still Steve.
He strikes out so goddamn bad. And I love that right away you hear a voice behind him after they leave. You hear another one bites the dust, and it's Robin. And she's in the back room, so she has the window slit open. She has this whiteboard that has tally marks. You rule, you suck. So I do love that they have been bored enough that she has started a game watching him, because apparently he lost his mojo.
Yeah.
And how often he's striking out, hitting on girls, even though they had to get a shipment from goddamn, where was it? Michigan, Keith. So I'm just
I think that was actually something that Robin made up to help them try to get that job at the end. Yeah, he's 0 for 6, Popeye.
0 for 6, and he's like, I can see, and I can read too. Since when? And I do like, though, because I don't know about you, we've all had, at least when we're teenagers, that one coworker who's the opposite sex who we kind of have this annoying little banter with. So that they've probably worked together enough that she goes, have you ever considered telling any of the girls the truth? So she knows. And he goes, what? That I didn't get into any schools, couldn't even get into tech, that my asshole father wants to teach me a lesson, and I have to work here for
making $1.20. What was it at $3?
$3 an hour. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
And he goes, with no future. And and then I do like
which
that
$3 an hour, the ice cream costs $1.25. So literally for an hour of work, Steve could buy less than 3 ice cream cones. That doesn't
forever the math teacher. You just made a fucking math problem. Cannot. But I do like that he blames the hat on being responsible.
It's blowing his best feature.
And then I do like, though, that right away she's the perfect wingman because she sees a bunch of girls coming in and she goes, 12 o'clock. So right away he goes, okay, I'm going in. And then he goes, you know what? Screw company policy. takes the hat off, and she's
Love this
like
scene
a whole
so
new
much.
man. His little dance.
Yeah.
And this has to be hands down my
His
favorite
most
line.
iconic line.
He turns around and just screams.
Which they
like when I'm
squeal.
testing the mic.
Yeah.
Ahoy, ladies, didn't see you there. And whoever the actress is with the red hair, she sells it because she looks freaked the fuck out.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
Really tries to sell that banana boat.
And he has like his whole little spiel. Like, I'm,
Your captain.
yeah,
This-
I'm
what
Steve
is it?
Harrington.
Set sail in this,
Would you like to set
Ocean.
sail on this ocean of flavor with me? I'm your captain. I'm Steve Harrington.
But I do love that he says the cherry jubilee or banana boat.
4 people.
4 spoons.
4 spoons.
4 people. And then I love that you hear as Robin rolls her eyes and hits another "you suck" tally. You hear her go, "It's hot out there."
It's
I don't know.
fantastic.
I find it charming. What's going on with Joyce and Hopper?
So Joyce is coaching Hopper on his heart to heart.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like encouraging him, and it's kind of going well. And I guess Hopper gets like caught up in the moment, and he's like, "Have dinner with me." And he's like, "You can give me some more pointers over dinner." And
Shoot or shoot, Hop.
yeah,
Shoot or shoot.
this is where I guess she's like kind of had put her hand on top of his hand.
Yeah.
And she declines. She
She has
says she has plans, and then she's kind of saved by the bell because a customer walks in. So she has to go help Carol plan her 13-year-old son's birthday party.
And that music playing, she's got you. The look on Hopper's face right away, I was like, he's got it bad. He's got it
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, for sure. But where do they go? Where do we go next?
Oh my God. I would have already been like, no, I'm not interested. The kids are hiking up to one of the highest points, highest hills in this huge field. And I'm sorry, it's the end of June. It's hotter than hell. And, Dustin's explaining they need to have the highest point to get a signal. And he says, right away, they're like, why don't you just call her? And he's like, no, she's Mormon, which I love. Lucas goes, no shit, she's electricity. Yeah. You just hear Max go, no, that's the Amish. And Dustin is like, no, her parents are super religious and stuff. They would be against us. And I love that he's like, it's all very Shakespearean.
Yeah.
And like star-crossed lovers.
It was
Max is
funny because
get it.
he was like, they're like Romeo and Juliet, star-crossed lovers. And when he says star-crossed lovers, it cuts to Mike and Elle. And I was like, ooh,
look at
star-crossed
you.
lovers. And then Mike and Elle say they have to go.
They gotta pull a dick move. Yeah, right away. I have to go home. And they're like, it's not even 4 yet. No, curfew. Because Elle, I guess, is on a strict wink curfew.
Yeah.
And, I love that Elle is like, she knows the fucking line. She's like, good luck. And, they're like, yeah, we're going to go make out. And right away, Dustin, like, he's gagged right now. He's like, are you kidding me? And Will is pissed too. Will's like, it's been going on this whole summer. And Max is like the only one. She's like, it's romantic. And Dustin's like, no, this is bullshit. This is the first day I'm here. And then he's just like, he doesn't let it yuck his yum. He goes, you know what? Their loss. Onward and upwards.
Yep.
They continue walking. And you see like Will.
Susie awaits.
Susie awaits. When in doubt, say Susie awaits. And you see Will kind of like yet again, kind of get that feeling, touches the back of his neck, kind of,
And these
and
rats
starts
scurry
walking.
by.
I'm sorry. Anything with rodents or bugs, like if there are horror movies about that shit, I'm the first to die. Seeing the amount of rats, you would think there was a big old wheel of cheese in that, warehouse. There's like hundreds of them in broad daylight, all running. It was a pretty cool shot. All into this warehouse and down to the basement. What's happening in the basement?
Exploding.
They're turning into jelly.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's my least favorite part about this season. I said it.
You said it. Meanwhile, I'm like, jelly donuts. That was the first, swear to God, first thing I thought of. I literally went, I had a jelly donut the other day as they're all exploding. And in my head, I'm like, Megan probably fucking hates this.
That's disgusting.
Circle gets the square.
But back at the pool,
May I just say, whoever made the makeup that Karen is wearing,
so
flawless.
waterproof.
Waterproof.
Yeah. Like, I need that for the concert. So,
Yeah.
Billy is kind of keeping his eye on Karen as she swims laps. And
Do the backstroke, yeah.
yeah, she gets out of the water and he is very attentive. He brings her a towel and they're kind of talking a little flirty.
Yeah.
And then he ends up asking her to meet him at a motel on Cornwallis that has a great pool so he can give her swimming lessons that night at 8 p.m.
And at first she's like, oh, no. And he's like, what? You can't have fun? She goes, no. Yeah, I love that she drops her towel when he says breaststroke. Like,
Yeah.
Karen, come on. Like, I know. He's gorgeous.
It's so, like, cheesy, but, like,
You kind of get it.
Yeah.
You kind of get it. And right away, he goes, no, I just think you've had the wrong instructor. Ted Wheeler. And he goes, you will have
the
the
workout of your life.
Sold.
Ugh. I mean, ugh. Okay, Karen. Okay. So at the hill, which you later find out, I don't think it's till the end, they nickname this hill Weathertop, which is like a Lord of the Rings reference. But
Look at you.
at the hill, they are setting up the radio tower, and I think this is like one of the most beautiful shots in
Yeah.
the whole show, probably. And I like it has to be like real, like, right? Like, do you
I
think
think
it was
it's
actually
a real location. I'm
like
not too
sunset?
sure.
Like
But
the way
yeah, it's at sunset, and it's them like erecting this beautiful antenna that they took like forever to put together. And I remember that was like almost like the teaser trailer for season 3. It was said to the Who's Barbara O'Reilly,
Yeah,
Teenage Wasteland.
yep.
And it's that iconic shot of them putting up the antenna. But I'm like, look at them working together. I would have been like, now we have to put it together.
Mhm.
I would have refused. I would have just said, like,
Yeah, I mean, Dustin, they were like pretty good friends. Like he gives them a lot of shit, and like I feel like they did a lot to like welcome
thank
you
God
home.
Lucas brought water, huh?
Yeah. So Lucas chugs the whole canteen, and Max is like, "Did you just drink all of our water?" So he's still got some in his mouth, and he like regurgitates it back into the
Offers it to her. Who says romance is dead, guys?
Lucas. And what did she call him later? Don Juan or something?
Don Juan. And I do love when he goes, when finally they get it up, he goes, are you ready to meet my love? And they're all like, yeah, sure. And he's like, Susie. And I do love that when he like right away starts to panic because she's not answering. He's like, she might be, busy. And you hear Lucas go, yeah. Or having dinner, it's late. And he goes, yeah. And they're all side-eyeing each other. And they're all thinking the same thing. Is Dustin pulling a George Glass? Please tell me you got that reference. The Brady Bunch movie?
Oh, is that Jan?
Yeah, remember? She's like, my
Okay.
boyfriend, George
Yeah.
Glass. Brings the mannequin into the coffee shop.
Oh, I hate Jan. She's like my least favorite Brady Bunch.
The mannequin's head falls off, and the stoners think it's like performance art, so they start clapping. So yeah, they think he's pulling a George Glass.
Is that the Brady Bunch movie?
It's the movie, yeah.
Yeah. The movie's so cheesy. I like the show better.
I make way too many George Glass references to so many people, and 99% of the time people don't get it. They're like, who the hell's George Glass? I'm like, exactly. He doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But we see the sun is completely set, and Joyce comes home to an empty house, and she heats herself up some peas, pretty good looking slice of lasagna,
Yeah, some good leftovers.
some red wine, and she puts on Cheers. And what does she think about?
She's thinking about watching Cheers with Bob, having flashbacks, and you see her sitting on the couch with Bob, and I think that was new footage that was filmed for this season.
Sean Astin came back, yeah.
Yeah, because he's credited at the end of the episode, which just had me thinking, like, when Barb died, there was like a lot of talk about Barb the next season.
Yeah.
When Bob died, they like had him come back the next season. Who came back? Billy died.
Billy.
BBB. And then was in the season 4. So it's like
Mhm.
it would be weirder to not acknowledge Eddie in season 5. Like, right? Because the pattern is that they do acknowledge the person who died the season before, if not have them come back in some way. So it's like,
I want there to be a scene of somebody going into Wayne's trailer bathroom. There is a framed photo of Eddie facing the toilet. Netflix, you heard me.
If we don't get that,
I'm going to riot. Should get an artist to commission that. Everyone's like, what the hell is that?
if somebody doesn't get the reference, that's Barb Holland's family has a framed photo of her in the bathroom.
And I will never let it go. I'll
Just
never let it go.
In case you needed to refresh your memory on that.
But this is a bummer because now you can
Yeah.
tell that these were her plans. So, like,
well, and she
clearly
thought the
she's-
boys would be there. Like,
Yeah.
she didn't really realize that she was going to be by herself because she's like calling for them and looking for them when she gets home.
asshole kids.
I know.
No, they had plans. But it kind of shows she has like her walls up because she's still grieving, Bob. She still misses him. And, there might be some tension, but, some romantic, tension going on. But it's almost like she's too afraid to like have that happen. So she's got her walls up right now. She's just bummed out. And then we see it pans out of the living room into the kitchen. And those magnets that are holding up the Bob superhero thing, they shake, fall down again.
Fall down again. So something's going on with the magnets.
Mhm.
But adding to the mystery,
Yep.
Nancy is still at the office and is cleaning up, and the phone rings.
Do you see all the food on that table?
Yeah, they're slobs.
They ate like pigs at the trough.
Yeah.
Like, really.
I mean,
No wonder she was pissed.
exactly. And like, I thought that they were eating lunch earlier in the day. Like, maybe that was their dinner. Like, I don't know. But
You said
she,
the phone rings.
she hears the phone ring and she goes and answers it. And you see her take a message from a Doris on Cornwallis, which is where the motel that Karen and Billy were supposed to meet at.
You had better eyesight because all I saw was like the last thing she wrote. I'm like, Megan will
Diseased
catch it.
rats. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
thing written in the biggest font. I'm like, I saw that.
We're back at the cabin as
To
well.
REO Speedwagons.
Yeah. Can't fight,
Can't
this, feeling. Such a good song.
Which I got into such an argument once with a coworker because I was like, yeah, the music video, it's them at, the singers at the fair and they're writing, this like tilt-a-war thing. And like literally the coworker I was talking to was a teenager in the 80s. They're like, no, Stacey, it's another band. I was like, God damn it. Yes, it is. But you tuned it. I was completely wrong. So yet again, don't take that, Stacey.
Yeah.
But
so kind of like
here's
Lover's
Al-
Lake.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare. We see Al and Mike. They're playing tonsil hockey again
Yeah.
on the bed.
Make it
And
out.
I love the shot of Hopper in his bedroom clutching his pillow. And he's kind of like going over the letter. And there's
Rehearsing.
so much cigarette ash that ends up on him and the pillow.
It's
Like,
gross.
so gross. So much cigarettes. Ugh.
I know. So he goes in to talk to them, and suddenly they're just sitting on the bed.
So far away, too. Yeah.
And yeah, like you said before, that bird poster is there, but he sits down awkwardly, turns around to turn off the radio.
Shut off the radio.
But all I can think about when I watch this scene is
I
the
knew it.
bloopers. The
It's
bloopers are so good for this scene, like, because I don't know how any of them kept a straight face, like,
Because it's one of those times where, like, really, like, if you think about it, it's not that funny, but once you say something enough times, it becomes funny. And poor David Harbour could not, for the life of him, get through saying, it's your grandma. But I do love that in the real take, right away, like, already he's off to a horrible start because he's like, can I talk to you guys for a second? And, like, they're just staring at him. And then Mike, like, whispers something.
well,
to Elle.
first he's like, I think we're in trouble. He's just being a little annoying.
Yeah, already.
shit.
I'd be infuriated.
and then he whispers something in Elle's ear, and that would have pissed me off too. Like,
Yeah.
Hopper just has enough of their shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's like, your mom called. It's your grandma.
right away. I love the look and the music cue of just Elle like looking at Mike so concerned. And it cuts to them outside and Hopper's just done. He's done with this bullshit. And he's walking to the car and right away Mike's like, what did my mom say? Did she fall again? Like
what's wrong with Nana?
I love that he goes, does she have cancer? And is she dead? And as soon as they get in, he finally loses it. He's like, nothing's wrong with Grandma. And Mike's a little confused. And
yeah,
that's
well,
when
Mike's an asshole. He's like, you're a lying piece of shit. And then he calls him crazy. I'm like, Mike, what the fuck? Like,
yeah,
this
when
is
he
an
said that,
adult. And like, did your parents not raise you right? Like, this is the chief of police and you're calling him crazy and a lying piece of shit? Like,
yeah, I think Mike was getting a little too comfortable.
Yeah.
So I love that the shot of Mike like suddenly realizes, because right away you just see Hopper's eyes get so big and he goes, crazy. I'll show you crazy if you disrespect me again. And when Mike tries to get out of the car, he keeps clicking down the lock button. And he basically, and what's works so well is Hopper doesn't scream after that. He actually is 10 times more scarier. And he just looks ahead and he's like, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to drive you home and I'm going to speak and you're going to listen. And
not
after that,
if you understand.
yeah, not if you want. Yeah, it's a little loud then. But he goes, after we're done, I'll see if I'll still allow you to date my daughter, which I do love that he refers to Elle as his daughter.
Yeah.
And then he does the whole, not if you understand. And Mike looks like he's shitting his pants. So mission accomplished.
That was like, that's one of the funniest scenes, I think.
This is off topic, but I used to always tell people, I'd be like, there was a 4th grade teacher. It was like one of the only dudes at my old school. He never yelled, but he was like bone chilling because he'd always go, you guys are going to listen right now. It was like whispering, but it was bone chilling. Even me, I'd be like, I'm fucking unsettled. Never once raised his voice. But those kids, they listen to directions.
Yeah.
I'm like, the whisper yelling, it's such a power move.
They're back on the hill. And
Thank God they didn't run up it.
unfortunately, Dustin still hasn't reached Susie. So basically the others kind of tell him that he's probably lying.
Yeah, they're like, this
They're
is
like,
a George
"Peace
Glass
out."
situation. And I do like that Lucas is like, because, well, she probably doesn't exist. No girl is that perfect.
A genius
right
and hotter than Phoebe Cates.
Is that so? And right away, Lucas is like, I mean, you're perfect. And she's like, oh, no, I'm just teasing. I'm obviously teasing. Dustin's obviously lying. And
Yeah.
they end up going home first. And then he goes, like, it's just you and me, Will. And Will's like, it's kind of getting late. I got to get
Yeah.
home. And I do like that, like, you can tell he feels bad. And Will's like, maybe tomorrow we can play D&D, do something fun like we used to do.
Yeah. But at this very moment,
The timing.
when they've all left him, Dustin intercepts this Russian transmission. So we hear him like start listening to this like Russian coming over the radio.
Which I didn't realize if you have your subtitles on, it gives away the entire.
Yeah. I saw
Right away I
that
went-
too. Which, I mean, I guess you don't solve the like code yet but you get the translation of the code, which I was
So
like,
imagine me back
okay.
in 2019. I used to never listen to subtitles. So I'm like, man, what are they saying? Like, how are they going to figure this out? Whoops.
right. But so it comes full circle, like from the very beginning of the episode, because we're back to this lab and we see Alexi again, this scientist,
Looking at something.
looking at something.
And a scientist goes, beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And then we cut to, I just died in your arms tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And Karen is getting ready. And I must say, first of all, you can tell that she takes her rock of a wedding ring off, which
Yeah.
good for you, Ted. She looks a little guilty doing it,
Yeah.
but not guilty enough to stop getting her from
But
getting
she
ready.
looks great. Her makeup is great. I love her shoes, but I was just not feeling the dress.
The outfit, I
Like-
wanted to be like, that's what you're going to go break a piece of that Kit Kat bar off with?
Right.
Like that's
it
what
was
you
very
chose?
like mom.
Yeah. Is there something better underneath it, I hope? Because
Maybe her bathing suit for like the swimming lessons, because she seemed to be forgetting about that.
yeah, holy shit. Like, ugh, that and the shoes I didn't like. But anyway, she comes out, we're like, we hated it. comes down the stairs, and she makes the fatal mistake of
she
looking
she hears some snoring.
It's quite loud. And apparently it's not bothering Holly because Ted Wheeler is in his signature lazy boy, passed out in front of the TV. And it's very sweet. Holly's sleeping on top of him. And you see her right away being like, am I really going to go out and get laid and leave my family behind?
Yeah. So she makes the smart choice. I respect her for this. And it's like a moment where it's Ted kind of like, you see Ted in a good light, like as being a dad and like, cuddling with his daughter. So
good willpower, Karen. Good job.
Yeah.
But unbeknownst to Billy, he doesn't know that the date's off. So he is listening to Wango Tango, same song that he nearly ran over the boys dressed as Ghostbusters last season. Must only have one cassette in that car.
Yeah, I guess so.
He, it's kind of funny actually seeing Billy like this because he always tries to play it so cool. But he's looking in the rearview mirror and he's like practicing what he's going to say to Karen.
But this is so funny because that movie you made me watch where Dacre plays a different character, he does the same thing. He's like talking to himself in the rearview mirror.
We cool. Yeah, we cool. Must be his way to pump himself up, I guess.
What is that movie called?
Better Watch Out.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Just in case anybody wants to watch it.
So good. Remember you were like, oh, you should have asked him, like, was that really a mistake of him opening the door? And I thought you meant what I said earlier in that episode about how all the doorknobs are up high.
Really
Can you imagine the look on his fucking face if I had asked him that? Like, is that an Australian thing? The doorknobs are really up high? You'd be like, I don't know her. She just sat next to me.
Yeah.
So something suddenly smashes against the windshield of his Camaro. And I'm sorry, Billy. Like, yeah, you were probably going fast, but like he spins out of control and conveniently, which shit luck, ends up like smashing the side of his car in front of the steelworks.
Yep. So he gets out. He sees some sort of
car piece of shit
goo on like the windshield, and he hears something run by, and he's like yelling, like, "Who's out there?
Who's there?" I'm sorry, this was 1985. This was the era of slasher movies.
Yeah.
As soon as you say who's there, bad shit happens. And what happens?
Something reaches out, grabs his leg, and drags him into the building and down the steps.
And the last thing you hear are his screams.
Yeah. So we've pretty much lost Billy at this point. Like, this is actually like basically his demise, I would say. Like,
see you later, bye, Billy.
Because the rest of the season, it's sort of like flayed Billy. So
yeah, he's possessed like 99% of the time, not doing well.
Yeah,
but it's almost like, like he was a villain in season 2 in his own way, but now we're gonna get a different take on it. But it's a very dark ending. But I do love the shot. A lot of people have compared it because as he's being like dragged in right before he gets sucked down the stairs, he grabs onto the door frame and he's fighting for his life. And before finally it overpowers him and yanks him down, a lot of people are like, oh, it kind of like mirrors the scene of Barb grabbing onto the ladder before she's yanked down.
And it also mirrors the scene of Joe Keery in the Taco Bell commercial.
It does. Oh my God, it does. Those nacho fries
that everybody thought was a spoiler when you posted it.
Like 30,000 people were like, nice job with spoilers. And I'm like, this is a nacho fry. I had to say that so many times. It's nacho fries. He's just that good of an actor. He sold it, man.
Yeah, he did.
Him in the mirror, like, no, it's you.
I need to rewatch that commercial. It's so
Did
good.
Rachel say that she told me that she wanted Keery, I'm so mad she didn't do this, to sign a nacho fry container, but she was like, I don't know, like, I didn't think to get like a fresh one because it would have had grease in it. And I'm like,
yeah, you should maybe get a fresh one if you're going to do that. That would be hilarious.
You just hand it to him and they're just so cold and soggy. He's so nice. He would be like, thank you.
Yeah, he really is. Well, that's the end of our first episode of season 3.
So good.
Such a blast. And just this episode is so much fun. And you get like so much packed in. to this one episode. Like, you get to go to the mall, you get to go to the movies, you get to go to the pool, you get to go into town, you see the Hawkins Post. Like, there's
New
just so
locations,
much.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even though, like, the rats are turning into jelly donuts, basically, and Billy gets yanked down, I feel like with this season, it takes a little while
to
before
get
the
dark.
real dark shit
Yeah.
starts happening.
Yeah.
So, like, you're almost like, oh, they're happy. You know, they're celebrating summer. And it just always reminds me of summer 2019. I took that summer off. It was, like, the only summer I ever had off. I lived my best life. And I remember on July 4th, I was watching it. I was like, this is so good. And I was mad that I had to stop it to go to a party. And then I, like, raced through the party to get back to finishing it. And my friends Melissa and Brendan, the night before, I guess they set their alarm clocks or something, and they got up at like 1 a.m. or something to watch it. They made banana pudding. They got really into it. And I'm like,
that's awesome.
Megan, it's whatever it airs, we should be like, yeah, it's going to be Thanksgiving. You're going to be like, Stacey, no, I have family over. I'm like, 2 a.m., I'll meet you. Make the banana pudding.
It's going to be so much fun to chat about this season with you.
Fun season.
And yeah, I'm super excited. And like I said, it'll get us through till spring for sure. Maybe even to summer. You know, it took us a really long time to get through season 2. So
it certainly did. So, you know, knowing us, maybe.
We'll see. Because we do have some other fun stuff lined up. So
We certainly do.
All right. Well, we just released our first kind of like mini quote unquote episode. It was still very long, but hopefully the rest will be a little shorter. We're going to try our best. Just chatting about Joe's songs and the music, just to get excited to see him live and hear the new album. So hopefully we'll get a couple new singles before that. So we'll have that to talk about too. And yeah, we were saying there's not really any production updates to chat about this week. Some of the cast have some other cool projects going on. Maya Hawke was on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast talking a little bit about like her role in Inside Out and on just like her life, which I started listening to it. It was a really fun conversation.
I can listen to that girl talk all day long. She's very well spoken. You know, I love that she's done projects with her parents, both of her parents. She did recently Wildcat with her father. And she's very well-rounded. And I just love her outlook of the industry and stuff. I don't know. She's just somebody who, like I said, I could listen to her for hours.
Yeah.
But it just, nothing makes you quite feel older. Like, I know I told you before, I remember when her mom was pregnant with her brother. I remember when she was pregnant with her.
Yeah.
So
and
life comes at you pretty fast.
I know. Slow down. But it's funny because one of the things she was talking about was like people assume like with her role as Robin and her role as Anxiety that she's like a very anxious person. And she's like, no, I'm not really. Like,
She's a great actress.
yeah, that's called acting. And then she was also talking in the interview about how she hasn't seen a lot of her parents' movies. And she was like, think about it. Like, when is the right time? Like, it feels a little bit too monumental to like watch it on a plane, but like also like we're not gonna like all get together and like watch
one
it
of their
together. Like, and she's like, and it's not exactly like my friends. I'm gonna be like a teenager. Like, let's watch Nymphomaniac.
Good. Bye.
I like laughed so hard. But also, Finn Wolfhard has a new movie that he's in and was like involved in making.
I guess he like helped write and direct it, and
yeah,
he mentioned it way back when he was promoting when they play with the puppies, promoting season 4. He was like, oh yeah, it's like a throwback to Camp Slashers, and it reminds me, it's giving the same energy as the movie Bodies. Like, it kind of knows what kind of movie it is. And it just seems so funny, some of the lines. I saw the trailer last week and I was cracking up. So
yeah,
it'd be interesting to see that.
Yeah, that should be good. So we've gotten a trailer for John Proctor as the Villain, which is Sadie Sink's play that she's going to be on Broadway. So that was pretty cool. And Maya Hawke is supposed to be on Broadway this spring too, which I think is like what she canceled her US leg of her tour for. So I think her European dates should probably be starting soon for her tour, and then she'll be on Broadway too in the spring. So
that's incredible.
Yeah. Just really enjoying just like following all of the other projects of the cast and seeing what they're doing next. So very cool. And just also we still have like that promise of like seeing them together for press for season 5. So it doesn't feel like it's completely over yet. But
guys, please put this into existence because I want both of them together. My Hawk, Joe Keery, Hot Ones. Can you imagine those two?
Oh, that would be so fun.
Oh, yeah. My God. And they'd be fighting. Maya would probably do it like a boss.
Yeah.
Somebody, a certain fellow would probably be fighting for his life. So, like, let's see it happen.
I would love that. Yeah. All right. So, any merch that you wanted to talk about?
Let's take a look.
Oh, while you're looking, I did get a new order from Beyond Epic, our friend Emma. So I had kind of forgotten that I ordered this one. I mentioned it earlier.
Don't you love when you do that?
Yeah. So it's Scoops Ahoy. It's so nice. I like wore it to work and got a lot of compliments.
Love it.
But it has like a wheel and established 1985. So it's the perfect sweatshirt to wear to start our season 3 deep dive. But also I did know that I was getting the one that I wore for Valentine's Day, and I wore it to work
my heart.
On Valentine's Day too. So it was conversation hearts, so like 5 conversation hearts across, which I love conversation hearts, and I didn't get any this year. Like I need to like go find some on sale or something, but it spelled Steve, so each conversation heart had a letter in it, and then underneath it said Harrington, so Steve Harrington in hearts.
She sent me a photo of it. She knows how much I love Valentine's Day, and I'm like, she wins.
Yeah. It made me so happy to wear that day. But then
so cute.
It's white, like, so I like got home and I like took Leia out in the backyard, and like she wanted me to play, and then she started jumping on me, so I like had to immediately come in and like wash it off. Like, Leia, this is my brand new sweatshirt. But yeah, what else do you have?
This week hasn't been really big with merch on my side of things, but my friend Jeanette came to visit. She was like, I found you the coolest thing at a thrift store. And it was this plaid button-up shirt. And right away I was like, cute. And she went, no, look at it. And on the side of it, it was stitched into it. It said Stranger Things. And right away I was like, wait a second. So I flipped the tag, and it was Netflix. They released it. We'll have to talk to Cinco, like see when this came out. But I know that, Netflix did release a lot of shirts and stuff over the past few years for different seasons. But I was like, look at this is cute. So really pumped about that. But waiting to get my Hopper Pop, wherever he may be. I ordered him off Mercari because right away I was looking and I was like, I have my army of Steves, got a bunch of Robins, and I'm like, every Eddie. So I need to be fair to everybody else. I only have Battle Dustin. For the longest time, I thought I had no Dustins, and I'm like, that's kind of messed up. So I want to start collecting, Hoppers and Dustins and more of Max and Lucas and the whole party. So slowly but surely getting out. But somebody, I think it was Eli actually, they went to it. You take all your pops out of the boxes, and I'm like, God damn it, Megan. But it's true, I do. I'm really bad about it, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah. Someone was like, what if one falls and Quinn eats it? And I'm like, well, then I deserved that, I guess.
Yeah. Definitely.
He's the Comic-Con exclusive Scoops Ahoy Steve one. You just me go, son of a bitch.
Which we have some other shirts that came from Netflix that we should probably wear for one of these season 3 episodes that Eli sent us also.
We really should.
Yeah. I was actually thinking, so this platform that we're using now has the option to like live stream. So we want to try to figure that out. And like maybe for our Patreon members, like they could watch us like live record an episode, which I think I would just have to pretend that nobody's watching because otherwise I would be super distracted. But
yeah,
maybe
I'd probably
we'll do
say
that
several times, shit, cut that out. And you'd be like, we're live.
Yeah, that would be fun. And we'll wear those shirts if we ever do that. So something to look forward to.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it. So speaking of Patreon, you can support our show and access bonus content on Patreon, patreon.com/skullrockbroadcast. We are actually kind of rolling out some video content with this new platform. So for our Joe mini episodes, we are posting the full extended versions with video to Patreon for that. And just like some clips here and there because we are recording video now. And also, come hang out with us on social media. We're mostly on Instagram at Skull Rock Broadcast. I'm at Steady Stories. Stacy is at Stay Still Reviews. And yeah, we just love making new friends and just connecting with people about the show and everything that we love over there. So come find us. And yeah, until next week, over and out.
Over and out.
Eddie, I'm not sure if I love the idea of you driving.
Well, I'm starting to suffer. Harrington's got her. Don't you, big boy?
And we're back. We are back for our secret study segment where we talk about fan fiction, Steve Harrington and Eddie Munson, and they're just our faves. If you don't like fan fiction, that's fine. You can turn us off.
Get out of here.
We'll talk to you next week. But if you want to hang out, please feel free. We don't have a lot to talk about this evening for fan fiction. We both have been a little bit busy. Stacey had visitors for the weekend. I have just been like trying to be productive around the house, and I didn't read a ton, but you said you did have one story you wanted to talk about.
I did. I read a one-shot. It was called Transfixed on Your Lips, and it was by Area 50 Dunn.
I have read that, I think.
It's good.
A long time ago, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Because right away I was like, this seems familiar. I think I had started it, and then I never finished it, but I did read it this week. And basically it's Steve and Eddie are hanging out, and Steve kind of notices, wow, Eddie's got nice lips. And spoiler alert, a blowjob's involved. Check it out. 5 out of 5. Would recommend.
Yeah, I remember that author had a lot of good ones. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
back at the beginning. Like, so check out some of their other ones too. That was awesome. All right. I
You would
also
read 'em.
read one little one shot that was basically just a little bit of smut, but it was good. It's by Ada Ronan, which is an author that I have enjoyed a lot of their fics. It is called Rip Me to Pieces and Make Me Whole. So Steve and Eddie are boyfriends, and they're hanging out by the pool, and they've been intimate with each other, but it's always going just one way, and Eddie wants to, try it the other way. So
Somebody's been in the driver's seat.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Eddie's been in the driver's seat, and he wants
Oh,
Steve to take the wheel.
man, he wouldn't walk right for a week.
Yeah. So it was good. And I just like, when it's the smut, but there's like feelings and like very emotional, and you can tell they love each other. I started, but I didn't get very far yet. Onion Chiver dropped a new short story called Whore, in parentheses,
Whore?
Angel's Advocate. And it's
Okay.
an AU where they're lawyers in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
So it seems pretty hot. I just started the first chapter, and there's going to be 2 chapters total. So
Mhm.
enjoying
I always
that
said,
one.
arrest me, boys. They're lawyers.
Yeah, they're
Sue me, boy.
lawyers. Sue you. But then I also listened to a podfic. So let me pull that up. So I got my laundry done by listening to this podfic. I had to I usually sit on the floor and fold laundry, and I don't know like what adults do. Like, where do adults fold laundry?
I literally dump it on my bed, and because I wouldn't get back up from the floor.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
You're
on the
like dead
bed.
tracks.
I guess my mom used to fold it on the couch. Like, I don't know. I sit on the
That's
floor.
that's too
but-
adult. Then I'm like, I'm officially a grown up.
I kept sitting down in front of the pile of laundry and picking up my phone and getting distracted by Joe Keery running his little sprints on the stage and all of his crazy antics.
I had guessed, and I was
concerts.
being so rude. I kept going, guys, look, he's got the zoomies. Like, yeah, I feel ya.
Yeah. But anyway, I was like, okay, I'm going to put this podfic on, get this laundry folded. And this was fantastic. It is a fic called The Second Worst Trip to Mordor Ever Taken.
Oh my God, I love that.
It is by Artax Lives, which is a great author that I've worked with before. And I've actually made a podfic of one of their fics.
That's cool.
This podfic was by Flower Parish. And they have a really great voice. I love listening to them, and they've been like doing a few Stranger Things podfics here and there lately, and it is like it's post canon. Eddie's okay, obviously, but Steve has kind of figured some things out about himself and has realized that he's into
an awakening.
Eddie. Yeah, and he gets roped into driving the boys and Eddie to Indy to go to this like store where they sell D&D stuff. And there's like a series of unfortunate events. They keep getting lost and like some stuff happens. But basically like Steve is like flirting with some other people and there's a little bit of miscommunication and
okay.
It all ends well. Also, all's well that ends well, right? So it's good. It's really good. It's a fun story and a fun podfic. So definitely check that one out.
Nice.
Yeah. So I almost forgot about that. Sometimes I forget. I'm like, oh, I didn't read anything. And I'm like, oh, but I listened to something. So
I'm going to get more into podfics again, especially this week.
Yeah.
You know, I'm on break and Quinn he got fixed. So I'm basically going to keep an eye on him. So I can keep eyes on him. But listen.
And did I bring up Soda Burn? I think I already brought up Soda Burn, which is like the bartenders, No Connections, is doing a podfic of that story. I have never read it before, so I'm just following it as the podfic comes out. And they released chapter 3 this week, and it was really good. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to wait until more of it is out or if you want to kind of follow it like I am, but it's good. So
I might have to do that. I know I definitely this week I'm gonna try to catch up with Prism because I actually did get the candle by that artist and it smells amazing. So I'll light the candle, watch Quinn, read the smut, then I'll be like, oh no, he wasn't watching Quinn. No.
All right. Well, that was fun, and hopefully we will both read a little bit more this week, especially you with your February break. I don't know what that is.
Sucks to suck.
And we'll be back next week with more. So catch you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side.